Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health, well, it's heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in today. Well, it is a Friday version of the show, that's for sure. Special Friday version, we are approaching the Memorial Day weekend, so an extended weekend it will be. This will be truly a get 'em up out of town version of the show, and hopefully great things will be awaiting you while you pass the entire weekend away. Before you jump into your weekend activities, maybe you'll want to spend some time with us today. Going over, well, we're going to start a new segment today and entitled the Weekly Review. We'll see what I mean about that in a moment. And promise to deal with a couple of those X-ray issues. You know, medical X-rays were on our plate this week when we had Dr. Cass Ingram with us. But some practical, common sense things to do with respect to medical X-rays I think I'll bring to your attention. But of course, we're opening it up to you today to allow you to come on in and set the agenda at any time you may like to. Anything on your mind is okay with me, whether it's in the form of a question or a comment. We are really appreciative of your participation in the show, and when I hear you knock on the door, I'll let you on in the store and we'll see what's on your mind. The number to do that, of course, as always, is 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. The Get 'em Up Out of Town version is in your hands now. Dial that number up and take control of the place, and let's see how it goes. It usually goes very, very well with your health. Now, looking at the schedule. As we move into the Memorial Day weekend, on Monday now, we will not be doing a live show, as pretty much, I'm guessing, most of the family members here at WKHB will be off enjoying their Memorial Day weekend. If you had thyroid issues on your mind, you know, I think I decided to replay the show from just a couple weeks ago. It was Thyroid Disease Part 2, and of course we were with the expert, Dr. David Brownstein, who's written many books, but specifically we dealt with the thyroid issue. It was the follow-up to the first show we had done the previous month. We included much of the rehash of the first show right at the beginning of it. So I think the entire story of thyroid disease really unfolds well. If you have thyroid issues, if you think you have thyroid issues and you may have missed or maybe it was unclear to you, let me recommend our Monday morning repeat show. I think it'll be a fine one to put in place of a live show, which we will be getting to, well, as I turn the page, and I sort of flip the page right now to take a look into June. June starts off with Aurora. When we return on Monday, we're going to have Dr. Vavavoom with us, Dr. Susan Smith-Jones. The topic, I still have no idea. She'll let me know which topic she's going to be wanting to discuss, and we'll bring that up to you all on Wednesday on our return back from Memorial Day vacation. Now, new thing to hit my desk in the past 24 hours. Here we go again with the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy group. The old rules, you know, third Thursday and everything. Another violation of the rules. It's not the third Thursday in June. It is the second Thursday in June. They're going to have to make that change. It's the same old place. You know, last month it wasn't. Last month when Dr. Versendahl was here, they had it at a Butler Fire Hall. Now, they've returned to the scene of the crime. It's going to be in the Days End, the usual place. The same time, the guest interesting guest. I've read about this gentleman. Never had a chance to speak to him before. He's quite the pioneer when it comes to the use of hydrogen peroxide. His name is Walter Groats. And in conjunction with Dr. Father Wilhelm, the two of these gentlemen really have become the pioneers, the investigators of the hydrogen peroxide issue. They have developed an entire group of hydrogen peroxide worshipers. Literally, I have patients who come to me and use hydrogen peroxide in every way that you can imagine, many of which I don't even approve of, but they certainly feel that it's for their health benefit. Anyway, he's going to be the featured speaker this coming month, June, at the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group, but the date changes, folks. It is not the third Thursday, as it, well, used to be. I guess I'm going to say used to be. It's going to be the second Thursday. Walter Groats is going to be up there at 7 o'clock, days in. And we're going to have him here with us on the 6th to go over some tintillating items that may encourage you to come on up and see him. If you have any appreciation of the hydrogen peroxide issue at all, you'll want to pay attention to the show and take the opportunity to meet Mr. Walter Groats in person when he comes up there. Okay. Rest of June, I'm mentioning the Dr. Ed show again. Those of you who want to listen to me being interviewed for a change, the website that you'll have to dial up, because this is a radio show that is streamed up live while they do it out there in Phoenix at a large station called KFNX 1100. And so the website is www.kfnx1100.com. And all you need to do is go to that site, dial up the schedule, and you'll find Sunday evening at 5 o'clock in the time zone, Phoenix, Arizona. Actually, 8 o'clock our time, you'll be able to hear that show live. Now, that's going to be on the 12th of June, so that's way into the future. And that's how that's shaping up. And, of course, we have the July venue still way into the future with Dr. David Brownstein, who will be returning to discuss one of his other books. This particular book is entitled Salt, Your Way to Health. If that title seems strange to you, then you may be caught up in the health scare generation, and I think you're working at a reality that just really isn't so. So we'll be talking about salting your way to health. That's the way it shapes up as it stands right now. And as I add to it, I'll be letting you know more and more about it. Now, let's talk about X-rays. Now, the topic of X-rays, medical X-rays, really made its most famous inroads with us here at the show when we were fortunate enough to have as a guest here on about 3 different occasions, Dr. John Goffman. Dr. John Goffman was a member of the original Manhattan Project. That, of course, means he was involved with the big one, the bomb. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that kind of a thing. So from the earliest days, inception of radioactivity, he was right there at the front lines. He then became, and I'm not sure about this, whether he was just a member of or the chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission. Either way, the credentials are impeccable. Along the way, we learned from Dr. Goffman that he really had an inclination toward medicine. And so after his accomplishments of the Atomic Energy Commission and the Manhattan Project, he went off to medical school, became a professor emeritus at USC. And then he started to do his research. We were fortunate enough to get him at the tail end of his career after he had published so much. Anyway, here is the blurb. If you didn't catch it when we were discussing with Dr. Cass Ingram, when we had Dr. Goffman on the show, his statement, which was a blaster at the time, and it still is, was this. He said that taking all cancers in mind, He said 50% of all cancers are due to medical X-rays. And then off air, at the same time we were doing these interviews and had him on the air talking to you, off air he would say to me, now you know, it's really more than 50%. It's more like 70%, but it's too unbelievable, so I can't even mention the real statistic. So let's just go with this 50% for now. If 50% of all cancers are due to medical X-rays, you absolutely need to take control and take charge of this issue with respect to your own doctors and your own need. And there will be needs as time moves on for you and your family. There's going to be need for medical X-rays to be done. They have a prominent role to play in medical diagnostics. They will continue to have such a role, but each and every time that a medical X-ray is taken, some imaging is used. Unless that's sonography, where sound waves are being used, it for sure is going to involve the use of ionizing energy. There is danger that comes with it, and the effects on human tissue is that it alters DNA in a way that's, well, I would have said, once damaged, it never returns to it in any reparation. It never repairs itself. Dr. Cassinger begs to differ with me. He claims that through the use of SOD, which is superoxide dismutase, especially the use of something called chagra, which he felt has 5,000 times the amount and capability of producing SOD than any other substance, that it is in fact possible to repair altered and damaged DNA. And so I'm going to take that as a gospel statement. I think Dr. Cassinger, pretty well known on his own right about health and natural ways to protect it. But with Dr. John Goffman signaling in such a really a earth-shattering statement, all of you out there need to be paying attention to your own particular situation when it comes to X-rays. I would just say that it's not just X-rays. My goodness gracious, probably the epitome of all X-rays is a CAT scan, and they are ordered pretty willy-nilly. They are multiple X-rays taken at one moment, literally in one small period of time. A tremendous numbers of films are taken, and the exposures are in each and every case additive and cumulative. So if in the making of one CAT scan there are 30, 40, or 50 slices, and there definitely can be where they literally transect the body, then you're getting 50 times the amount of the radiation exposure. And you have to cut the use of these things down. I would strongly urge you to negotiate with your doctor. He needs, and I think he will come along very, very nicely to be led into the realm of the MRI instead of the CT scan. The MRIs, the pictures are just as pretty. They're just as revealing. It's just as the training moves along, the older doctors came up under the system of the CT scan. And the MRI, now out there in the market for quite a long time, even on its own right, the MRI is lesser accepted just because of a fewer amount of doctors actually were brought up and trained in the MRI era. The CT scan era was their era, but the younger doctors now move along very nicely by using MRI. You need to strongly encourage the use of them in place of the CT scan. I'm very much aware of the role that any metal may play. You know, if we have knee replacements and hip replacements and pacemaker implantations and the like, any metal contained by the human body ordinarily has been a contraindication to the use of MRI. This apparently is not the case anymore because they can isolate out. They can use a device to shield the metal area so that just about anybody can get an MRI, even if they do have metal retained within the body. but your use of the CT scan needs to go down considerably, and you can help negotiate this with these, right, by bringing your doctor along and suggesting that you would appreciate avoiding the use of CT scans, and could you please have an MRI in its place. The other thing I'll mention about the X-ray suites in most offices, and this came out in our conversation with Dr. Cass Ingram, would be the fact that the X-ray suites have these machines, many X-ray machines, and as I've been able to observe in my time, and I asked Dr. Ingram about it, and he certainly verified the fact that in his experience, the magnitude of the dose of these machines, which is variable, is just turned up as high as it can be. In other words, maximum amount of penetration is what's been selected. I don't care what your age is. I don't see them turn the dials down. And so obviously for children, you have to insist, literally insist, that the use of X-rays, albeit necessary, needs to be with the least amount of dose that's required to use the image and to get the image and to get it clear enough that it can reveal the medical evidence that is being sought after. But nonetheless, you have to demand that whoever's at the controls of these, and it is the X-ray tech, can back off on the amount. Otherwise, the full dose that was given to the previous adult who was in that same X-ray suite receiving their X-ray, and then they disoccupied the suite, and they went home, and then you came into the suite, and you brought your, 4-year-old child or 3-year-old child in. I'm telling you that the dosage and the amount of radiation has not changed. That they leave the dials full-blown, full bore, and that just can't be allowed because that kind of dose isn't required for the 3-year-old, and certainly because of the size, there has to be some adjustment made. Even though the X-ray may be necessary, how the X-ray is done, and then how frequently they get repeated. I think you've heard me mention on many occasions that in a hospital environment, it's just the standard operating procedures every day. A little guy comes around with a portable X-ray machine and just keeps going from room to room to room where they do repeat X-rays over and over and over again, when I absolutely, from personal experience, could not, in my best moment, figure out why that was required, and brought a halt to it in my own particular case. You need to be looking out for family members as well as in your own particular situation, should you ever be hospitalized. This repeat of doing procedures. X-rays one thing, but I can tell you that they do repeat CAT scans on a every other day basis, every 4 or 5 day basis, and that is absolutely a particular problem that needs to be brought to your attention so that you may be able to change the course of your X-ray exposure. You need these medical X-rays. You have to have them. I can appreciate that. As a medical doctor, I can really enjoy the fact that they are so helpful in not only making initial diagnoses, but following the course of a disease. I can understand that. But they have to be able, they, meaning the medical doctors themselves, they have to be made aware of the damage, and that if you have a discussion with them, every single one of them would admit, and they appreciate that the fact that these medical X-rays bring with them ultimately damage to DNA. It is not reversible. Yet they order them with impunity. So enough of the subject of the medical X-rays. Hope you enjoyed revisiting the issue with Cass Ingram. I enjoyed the fact that he felt that the use of this chagra was able to bring in huge amounts of SOD, superoxide dismutase, that he claimed actually had a beneficial effect on repairing DNA. And so now you can put that in your little compendium to be able to take prior to and after having had any X-ray procedures in the future. Hopefully you will have benefited from this discussion. I thank you very much. All right, let's do this. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, new segment weekly roundup. I'll be talking to you about a moment. Also, too, you may want to give us a call. Find out what's on your mind. Anything on your mind is okay with me. The number to do it, 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. It is a Get 'em Up, Out of Town version of the show. Be back in a moment.
This is Xray, MD. If you become confused about how best to manage your health, it's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your Mickey family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on a Friday version of the show. It is a Get 'em Up, Out of Town version of the show. Big weekend coming up. Hope you have your activities planned, and I hope your weather cooperates for you, your benefit as well as mine. Today, we, as we normally do, open them up to you. We allow you to come on in and set the agenda if you would like to. The number to do that is 412, is to call up at 412-825-6262. Let's find out what's on your mind. I've got some information I'll bring to you in the interim, but you bring to me what you'd like us to share in. Someone is taking the opportunity right now to do that. They're on the phone, and they've knocked on the door. Come on, the store. Hello, and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Thanks, Dr. Courtney. I missed the name of the man who talked about the medical X-rays being so dangerous.
The fellow who made them so dangerous was none other than Dr. John Goffman. I think that's who you're referring to, Dr. John Goffman?
Yes.
Dr. John Goffman, I believe he died in 2004, but you know, we've been doing this show a while. We had the opportunity to have him on the show 3 different occasions. Each and every time, boy, you knew you were in the presence of greatness, but I have a fondness in my heart for the gentleman. He's the only one that ever, in the medical profession that I can tell, who ever took the time to talk about the ills and the negative side of these very important things that we need to have done, but they're just being done too willy-nilly and not given the consideration that it should be as far as the danger is concerned. But
he was former head of the Atomic Energy Commission, wasn't he?
Either the chairman of or just a member of. I can't recall if the credential, if he was such a prominent place, he actually was a chairman. But he was on the Atomic Energy Commission, that's for sure, for many years. And when you've served on the original Manhattan Project, you know, you bring a level of prestige to whatever you do. And it was the thing that was the thorn in the side of the medical profession. I sat in front of radiologists on many occasions, And I probed them about their specialty. Obviously, they have a great contribution to make in medicine, but they could see that my questions were accurate. They were appropriate. They had concerns that were raised that seemingly no one ever has raised, at least at any great extent. And when they found out that my source was John Goffman, boy, the emotion came through, because first of all, they called him crazy. They called him an old man. They called him a quack. Now, this is the man who sat on the Atomic Energy Commission. He played a role in the original Manhattan Project.
Wow.
And so I could only say to them, who in the heck are you? Who are you? And that's about as far as the negative talk about John Goffman went. I mean, I wasn't trying to besmirch their integrity or their credentials. To think that they would just try to tee off on Dr. John Goffman, as well-credentialed as he was, and he had published these works, and believe you me, the whole medical profession, as I found out, knew all about him, and whenever his name came up, they knew how to act, and it was to try to sully his name. When I saw that happening, I just went berserk. I lost control. But that gentleman, Dr. John Goffman, Google him up on the internet. You'll find a lot of his stuff is easily read, because other people, not John himself, but other people took his work and sort of translated it in regular old everyday English. And so you can get the flavor for all of Goffman's work simply by Googling him up. And
well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, I thought I saw something in the paper the other day about the airport super X-rays that they do.
Oh, that scanner. Oh, yes. What did you read? What did you find?
It's no more harm than the others, but I think they're really powerful X-rays.
Well, I think that the idea behind this is a scatter X-ray. I think that's the term that they used. So the intention of this particular kind of device is to be able to penetrate not so deep into the skin, okay? Like when you get an X-ray and anything else, that you are getting blasted with ionizing energy that goes in one side of the body and comes out the other side.
Wow.
And there's no scatter effect at all. It is that powerful that literally the X-ray plate is put on the opposite side of you. That'll tell you that the idea behind the X-ray is to ram you with ionizing energy from one side and catch the images on the other side. That's the other side of your body now, okay? So that by the intention of the X-ray itself, yes, it's penetrating all the way through. The scatter X-ray creates the image, if I understand it correctly, by not penetrating all the way through, so that it would have a higher incidence of causing skin cancers and the superficial kinds of cancers, as opposed to deep organ. But nonetheless, I'm glad the pilots finally said, in the words of the great Roberto Duran, no muss, no more. They are not doing these things, because they pull into an airport. They may have to go through X-ray checks 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Yeah.
As opposed to the occasional traveler. Thank God you're able to still opt for the pat down, as grotesque as I've heard it described. It still gives you an option that you don't have to have those X-ray procedures done. Yet, who knows what kind of insult it is to your person to have the pat down. That's another matter I won't even get into right now.
Well, I take the pat down rather than all this build-up of X-rays, and thanks for your wonderful program and information.
Well, thank you for the call, and go Google up Goffman. He's worth another look. Please go find out more about John.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah, John Goffman, folks. You just got to Google him up, man. There's no one that has taken his place. When John departed a number of years ago now, I see nobody that's come and continued to write on this subject about the harm from medical X-rays, and so his work stands up. It does stand up. The procedures that he evaluated are still in play, and I believe that 50, slid to 70% of the total all cancers due to medical X-ray is a heck of a statement, and I believe John Goffman backed it up. Hey, another knock on the door. Come on in the store. Hello and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Hi, Dr. Courtney.
Yes.
I wanted to know if all of Cass's products are on your website.
All of whose products?
Cass England.
Oh, Cass Ingram. That's North American Herb. I don't. I'm not so sure if they didn't put a link on my website that goes to North American Herb. I do have a list, and it's a fresh list too. The only list that I carry is they have a division of North American Herb called Physician Strength, and for doctors they literally sell a brand of the same stuff that they sell to the public, but everything's double strength. And so what they don't do is they don't give you nearly as many products to be able to use in the Physician Strength line. Like they have more doggone products in just the general line. They probably have 3 times more products in the general line than they do in the Physician Strength, but the Physician Strength is double strength.
And I can get that through you?
And you can get that through me, absolutely.
Physician Strength?
It's called Physician. The name of the product is called Physician Strength. Strength.
Oh, okay.
Physician Strength is the name of the line. It comes from North American Herb and Spice, yet you don't find any markings indicating that it is their product on any of the containers at all. But it is double the strength in every case.
But I wanted to try, and does that include the chagra?
They have a chagra product, absolutely. There's a product that's chagra is except for the teas, it never comes by itself. It's always an additive to an oregano product that's already in play, and so you'll find oregano with chagra, and it is represented in the Physician Strength line. That is correct.
Okay. And do you still sell the miraculous magnesium?
Oh boy, Arlene Brecker claimed the fame as miraculous magnesium, and since her departure, another company, in fact, a friend of the family, a personal friend of mine, took over the product. She supplies it. Her name is Patricia Stranahan, and her practice is down in Vienna, Virginia. Anyway, the product is still available. Arlene at least arranged at whenever her death would come that Pat Stranahan would pick up and maintain the product when she has done just that. So yes, we do still have the product.
And it hasn't changed, has
it? It has not changed one bit. It's still manufactured and mixed to the same degree and specification that Arlene had put the product together with.
Okay, and a couple more questions very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that Cass Ingram is related to Laura Ingram, a conservative. Oh, she's awesome.
Do you know?
Listen to her for 10 minutes. You get more information than you do on 2 hours of the news.
Every time she comes, let me say something about Laura Ingram. Hey, she's hot.
I don't know about that, but I.
All right. So that little sexist thing.
What she talks about. Wow.
No, she's got a great command, and I always like when she and Bill O'Reilly. I mean, she doesn't take anything from O'Reilly. She lets them have it, and they both let each other have it. Did you hear the scuttlebutt yesterday when it came to Laura Ingram and this Ed Schultz from MSNBC? Did you catch that?
Briefly about it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what comments he made, but evidently he made some disparaging remarks against Laura Ingram. And the new people who purchased MSNBC from GE sold it, and MSNBC is now owned by Comcast. Well, they just told Mr. Schultz, hey, Mr. Schultz, first of all, you're going to get on TV and you're going to apologize to her. And number 2, you are suspended indefinitely until we'll get back with you when we're going to allow you to take the airway again. Whatever he said, I don't know what the remarks are. They have been
very kind.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't. But I'm glad to hear that you enjoy. Hey, I think she is hot. She's hot.
Everything she says is the truth.
And she's so truthful. Absolutely. Her insights are so keen. I'm glad you appreciate it.
Do you sell, or do you know anything about BOPQQ? It's, I guess you can use it in combination with CoQ10. There's one company that's really pushing it,
you know, you're always the one that lays something on me, and I go, I never heard of that before. So I'm going to say, BOCTQ. What did you call it?
Bio and then T Paul QQ.
BioTQQ. Okay, I'm unfamiliar with it. If I Google it up, will I be able to get started with it? Will it happen for me? It will?
This is on Life Extension. That's the company.
Oh, Life Extension.
Pushing it, which I really do respect their products. They
Yeah,
have a wonderful research team behind all of their things.
They do. They do.
I just want to make sure because it is a little bit pricey. But I do take the CoQ10 already to regenerate or try to regenerate some mitochondrial function, you know, with the diabetes. But this one actually seems to it actually builds the mitochondria. It doesn't regenerate what you have. It actually builds new ones in your body. So I just wanted to know, you know.
Well, I'm going to Google that one up. In terms of the CoQ issue, I think as everybody knows and who does supplements, it's the most expensive of any supplement that you'll ever buy. And it's probably the most unfair of all the supplements because it's of all the supplements you can take, it's the least assimilable. You don't absorb much of this stuff. And so it's a terrible thing. You're spending so much money for the product because, you know, you've heard about it. You know it's an important mitochondrial component, yet you spend a lot of money for it and you absorb very little of it. You've heard me talk about, and that's ubiquinone. That is the name of the CoQ10 from its generic roots. But have you heard of Idebinone? Have you ever heard me talk about Idebinone?
Yeah.
Okay, I think really check that out. If you're going to be substituting and trying to correct for CoQ10, I believe economics needs to come into the equation. And for something as assimilable as ubiquinone is, and literally it has only one methyl group off. There's one CH3 group that isn't on the ubiquinone that's on the, or that isn't on the Idebinone that's on the ubiquinone. It makes it completely as usable in the mitochondria as CoQ10, it's a different form of CoQ10. So I'd check that out if I were you. Economics should play a role. I don't like the idea that you take a supplement and half of it goes out of the body in the urine or the feces, and you're not getting the full amount of benefit from what you're spending.
Okay, and that's Idebinone.
That is Idebinone. Idebinone is what I'm asking you to check out and try to put it in place of this very expensive but appropriate, I agree, appropriate, ubiquinone, which is the name for the generic form of CoQ10.
Well, I didn't intend to replace the regular CoQ10. I just wanted to use the other one as sort of...
Oh, to build it up.
Yeah.
Well, I'll check out, because I always listen to you, believe me, inquiring minds want to know. I'll check out the Google there with the Life Extension Group for the rebuilding of the mitochondria. You check out, because I'm always interested in how you evaluate things. From an expense point of view, CoQ10 is entirely too expensive to literally waste because you can't absorb it. All right, there's got to be better ways of handling this, and that was just one of the ways I pass it on to you. Thanks for sharing information with us.
And I'm sorry, you said I could take those two together, right? The regular ubiquinone with the Idebinone?
Oh, Idebinone. Yes, you can.
Do them together.
Oh, you sure can.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Always. Lady challenges me continually. I love her. She's great. And I do agree about Laura Ingram, and she is hot. Hey, another knock on the door. Come on in the store. Hello, and welcome aboard. What is on your mind?
Hey, good morning, Dr. Courtney. And the thing that caused all the brouhaha was talk show slut.
Oh, is that what he said? Talk show slut. Thank you, David. That was wonderful. I never knew what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay.
Yep. Hey, look, I was listening to a show you had on months ago in your archives with Dr. Roy Carey on the thyroid.
Oh, that was years ago, wasn't it?
No, I think you did it last spring.
Okay, so a year ago, absolutely. And how did it play? I haven't heard that show in a long time.
Oh, very good. There was a couple of them. But at the end of one of them, a lady called in at the very end and had asked you about Dr. Forbes, who did Dr. Page's technique.
Right, out there in Mount by the way, did he recently die, or did his father die?
He did die.
He did that. I thought I saw that. When I saw that obituary notice, I said, I wonder if this is the gentleman He did all the endocrine stuff, and it was, huh?
Yeah, I called to get my teeth cleaned and got the bad news the other day.
Oh, you're finding out by trying to schedule an appointment with him?
Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious. What did he die of, do you know?
Pancreatitis.
Oh, yeah, you hit me right in the gut with that one, didn't you?
It got me too. I was like, oh my goodness. That's,
Oh, no. Okay, so yeah, he did come up. Who brought him up? Did Dr. Carey bring him up? Or a caller did, huh?
Yes, we had a caller who brought him up, and the technique was, it was a very interesting technique. He would measure the size of your wrist, your forearm, bicep, and your ankle, your calf, and your thigh. And they would chart that out, and then that in conjunction with the ratio of phosphorus and calcium in a blood test.
That's right, I remember this now.
You would determine whether or not you were hyper or hypopituitary, whether it was anterior or posterior. In other words, it could be like hyper or hypo post or hypo anterior. It would cause different things like bipolar, different, cardiovascular disease, different things like that. And the fix, pretty much the fix was the same for everybody. It was a pituitary glandular.
Really?
If you had those problems,
Now, did they say then that, like, if you have, because one of the hormones made by the anterior pituitary, which makes far more hormones than the posterior, but the anterior is TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. And so, did he say that one of the potential fixes for a thyroid was a mechanism involving allowing the pituitary to make TSH, or don't you know?
I'm not sure about how it related to TSH. It's
okay.
Much focused on the pituitary.
On the pituitary.
And of course, Dr. Page's teachings, it was very nutritionally oriented. He has a lot of YouTubes up about that, and it was basically a Weston Price. Page was a dentist himself. And
that's right. Now I remember the story. You're the one that brought me that story. You're the first guy to bring it to my attention. I did have conversations with Dr. Forbes, right? Dr. Forbes on a couple of occasions. We did get him on the show. Didn't we get him on the show once or twice?
Yeah, back in 2006.
Yeah, and it was because of your intervention that we did bring him on the show. He was a great guest. I enjoyed having him. Sorry to hear about his demise. And he was a young guy, wasn't he?
He was early 60s.
Hey, that's young, David.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of people got introduced to him at that Mind Your Body and Spirit Expo back in 2006. I think we may still have a DVD of him. I'm going to have to kick it out and go look for it.
Hey, I'm going back to the archives to listen to the Roy Carey shows. That guy, he's amazing. I've always really appreciated him.
I do appreciate the archives very much.
There's some good people on there, David. I'm glad you're using it as it was intended. Thanks for the check-in.
Yep, thank you, Doc.
Absolutely. David, another great caller, and has given me great insight to a lot of medical issues. Well, you see how it goes here, folks. We're on a Get 'em Up Out of Town version of the show. We're letting you call in to set the agenda if you have a mind to. The number to do it is 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. Another knock on the door comes. Come on in the store. Hello and welcome aboard. What is on your mind?
Good morning, Dr. Courtney. Could you tell me how you spell Idebinone?
Idebinone. Oh, yeah, I can do Idebinone.
Idebinone.
Yeah, it's really phonetic. Idebinone.
Thank you very much. I had another question.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with pulmonary fibrosis?
Yeah, I am, and I'm usually most familiar with it due to the drug-related causes of it. Are you familiar with
Really?
Yeah, there are people who gain this environmentally and occupationally, and I've certainly had a number of those patients. And then one can understand when you're exposed to environmental and insult for over literally a lifetime, how that could weigh in. The real tragic cases are the people who were put on medications and drugs, and by virtue of taking a drug for like a week, literally they died because yeah. This is one of the craziest things I've ever exposed to, a drug that was being released at the time I was in my residency program. It was determined while it was being used in the program, and at the time had not been released to the public, right there at West Penn Hospital where I was, that they uncovered the fact that this thing could cause pulmonary fibrosis, and I was in personal contact with a few patients who had this terrible consequence to taking a drug that, as you could see, should never have been released, even in a trial phase. That should have come up in animal trials and things like that. But I'm giving you a side of the drug that was personal. Did you have a specific question you wanted to ask about it?
Yes, well, actually, I did. I was wondering what other medications can cause that.
Oh,
Long list.
there's a long list of them.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the particular one that we used at West Penn, which actually did make it through, by the way. It's out on the market today. It could be prescribed today. That's how bad it is. And it's still out there. Interestingly enough, I think the issue with pulmonary fibrosis, and I've had a couple of patients who come to me and literally, they can't walk 100 feet without being just completely exhausted. They need oxygen and the like. And so what's interesting to those patients, and I pass it on to you, do you know somebody with pulmonary fibrosis?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to put throw a little something out there into the way to get this back into some control, and that is the lungs themselves. When you have a condition of pulmonary fibrosis, in my perception of this condition, there's nothing can be done about that. Okay, those lungs are like shoe leather now. They have no give to them at all. They are pretty much going to be in this similar shape from this point forward. So to be able to help breathing, you have to sort of give up changing the lung anatomy at all, because you're not going to do it. But what you can change, and I found this out through a number of exposures here in my office, is you can change the pulmonary capillary function tremendously by using something called ECP. So even though you can't change the lung and the number of alveolar sacs that you have in the lung, you can change the number of capillaries for which the gases can exchange between the existing alveolar sacs and the brand new capillaries that you can make, and it can change the equation considerably. So I offer that up to you, whoever you have in mind that might have pulmonary fibrosis, where there's not a thing that's going to be done about the fibrosis. Once damaged, that anatomy is damaged forever. You have to work with another side of the equation, and that's the blood perfusion side, and that side can be altered because that isn't damaged. However the person got pulmonary fibrosis, the capillary network can still be worked with and played with, while the lung component cannot. Did that make sense? Did I explain that okay?
Thank you very much. Is the diagnosis of that, can that be diagnosed with an X-ray, or do you need a CT scan?
You really don't need either of those two, but simple X-ray literally can do it, and pulmonary function tests literally are all it needs to confirm it, but they end up getting a piece of tissue through bronchoscopy that once they get the pathologist get a piece of that tissue, that's the definitive diagnosis. So everything sort of leads up to, okay, let's do the bronchoscopy so that the doctor can get a piece of tissue or a bronchial washing. They look underneath a microscope and they can see the pulmonary fibrosis at that point. And at that point, the definitive diagnosis is made.
Okay, so an X-ray?
X-ray will give you the impression, and CT scans give you the impression, yet it takes a piece of tissue under a microscope to confirm and make a definitive diagnosis.
Oh, well, thank you so much for the information. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the call. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Pulmonary fibrosis, that is a bad one. No doubt about it. Now, anything on your mind is still okay. We've got some moments remaining. 412-825-6262. I want to institute, while we're waiting for another caller to come on board, a new segment to the show. We're going to call it the Weekly Roundup. You know, I'm out there in the blogosphere every single day. I'm trying to find out whatever's happening in the news. And it turns out that there's literally so much going on that to bring it to your attention would be a good thing. especially if we do it in keeping with our Friday format. So with that in mind, a weekly roundup of health stories that grabbed our attention from around the world over the last 7 days. Things like crossing your hands, relieving pain, we'll get into that, obesity, causing prostate cancer, coffee drinking, reducing prostate cancer, even new Ford cars that have built-in apps to monitor your health. The first of these, I like this approach because I'll give you the source that you can check on. This comes out of BBC News. The dateline for this is May 17th. The reporter was a health correspondent for BBC named Jane Dreeper. Anyway, Egyptian mummy, the byline reads, Egyptian mummy first to have diseased heart. Turns out that an Egyptian princess who lived 3,500 years ago is thought of to be the first known person to have developed heart disease. So say researchers. The doctors believe that the princess would have needed a heart bypass if she was living now. And of course, this was all determined from scans that showed she had extensive blockages in her arteries leading to her heart, brain, stomach, and legs. According to the researchers, say her case shows heart disease predating modern lifestyle. And that was an important finding, according to the researchers at Al-Azhar University in Cairo, who evaluated the remains of 52 mummies, including those of the princess, to detect the presence of very advanced cardiovascular disease. So they claim that she is the first to suffer from heart disease. Interesting viewpoint, is it not? Knock on the door. Come on in the store. Hello, and what's on your mind?
Hey, Dr. Courtney.
Yes.
Jerry calling here. Two questions. Earlier in the show, you were talking about chagra and
oregano?
DNA repair.
Yeah.
And I don't catch the show all the time, but I do recall catching a show where you were talking about a BioCell LG product. And I think I recall some name of that sort. And I recall the person you were interviewing suggesting that product also encouraged DNA repair. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, you absolutely are. The person you're referring to is Roland Thomas. The name of the product you're referring to, and we carry it, and I'm really proud that we do, is a back product, bioengineered algae concentrate. And this is from the work of Dr. Michael Kiriak out of the Soviet Union. Anyway, the product is sort of a superfood, and it is chock full of nutrients that do and enable people to have DNA repair changes. It's just the other day when we were talking on the show with Dr. Cass Ingram, we were looking to try to find out what one could do to specifically repair X-ray damage done to DNA. And he pointed out to research in the literature that showed where SOD, which is superoxide dismutase, had great reparative potential for DNA. And because this stuff called chagra, which he finds in the wilderness in the North American forest, has 5,000 times the amount of a source for SOD than any other product known, put it in a different category. And that's why we talked about it on the day we were discussing X-rays. And it's Dr. Cass Ingram's suggestion for those of you who are going to have X-rays, or for those of you who have already had them and trying to do something about the damage caused by them.
Yeah. The other question I had was, you were talking about ubiquinone and it being poorly assimilated.
Yes.
And you mentioned Idebinone. And I wanted to get your input on the subject of ubiquinol, and also I've seen on the market several products that are ubiquinone, but they've teamed it up with either like a rice bran oil or a fish oil, or even a vitamin E oil to supposedly improve absorption. And I wanted to get your thoughts on the pairing it with oil and also bring the ubiquinol into the conversation.
Yeah, by the way, the ubiquinol, I would be a full supporter of that, because you're not inventing a new molecule here. You're just inventing a different delivery, an alcohol system of getting it into the tissues. And so it's still playing with the same lack of one methyl group, just one methyl group away from idebinone, able to be used by the mitochondria, just like idebinone, or excuse me, like ubiquinone is, meaning CoQ10, but without the expense issue. This is a very expensive product. If you've ever purchased CoQ10, you know it. And
more expensive than ubiquinone.
Well, then that would be, see, I'm unaware of this price difference, and I'm saying that idebinone is probably the better way of handling it because of the fact that it is fully assimilable. And idebinone, is there something called idebinol? Did you say there is something called idebinol?
No, I said
ubiquinol.
Ubiquinol, which is
okay.
a converted form of ubiquinone.
Gotcha. Well, here we are at an expense issue again, and I think you have to take these expenses into consideration. I ask you to take a look at idebinone before you go ahead and even buy a more expensive product than you were buying before.
Right. Now, since some of the ubiquinone products are in a rice bran oil and fish oil or vitamin E oil state, and the manufacturers are purporting that those are better absorbed. And I didn't know if you had any comment on that.
Well, if they are better absorbed, then albeit I'll be in favor of it, because if the root product in there is CoQ10 or ubiquinone, the expense will mount up. However you can get to assimilate it, and these companies have had to consider that. That's why they're coming to you with so many forms of it. I'm just amazed that they came up. If it wasn't expensive enough already to hear that ubiquinol is available, and it's even more expensive than the CoQ10 was without the, that's going to be a tough product to push, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your call. Hey folks, we got bongos in the background. I got more things to talk about I'll talk about them next week in terms of what's in the news. I really enjoyed your participation today, folks. Thank you very much. I want you all to have a great weekend. It is Memorial Day weekend. I'm waving the checkered flag. Get it started. And I'll see you on next Wednesday. Don't forget, repeat with David Brownstein on Monday. Thyroid disease. Bye now. See you then.
Sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
KHB reminds you, children are naturally curious, so follow their lead. When you talk to your child, you build vocabulary. Learning starts before school does. For more tips, go to bornlearning.org.
When I think of country, it's this natural down-home kind of thought. Aloe vera gives me those same warm feelings. A plant so simple, yet capable of so many profound achievements. Montreat Nutritionals has developed an aloe juice in 4 delicious flavors, plus natural, all in a half-gallon size. We have heard of all the miraculous feats aloe has accomplished topically. It's just as capable internally. The choice of peach, strawberry, kiwi, cranberry, and orange papaya will be sure to delight the palate. We use the highest grade certified raw material in the industry to ensure not only great flavors, but also awesome results. Because of the nature of pure aloe, it has as part of its constituency over 200 nutrients, allowing it to act as a natural vitamin drink. To experience this wonderful juice, call 1-888-7-VITAMIN. 1-888-7-VITAMIN.
34 years ago, a little shop was opened on Pennsylvania Avenue in the old General Green Hotel. That little shop was Nature's Way Market. Over the years, they've moved, grown, and expanded several times, becoming the chosen grocer of many natural food shoppers. As always, they continue to be committed to organics as a way to sustain the Earth's resources for future generations. Thanks to you, their loyal customers, for making it all possible. Nature's Way Market. Green, way before it was in style. For more information, call